Good afternoon, everyone. Today is April 26, 2022, and this is Evan Studios' weekly podcast number 35. Insert witty title here. I have none. Uh, I'm your host, Stark, as usual, and with me, I have my co host, Isaac,
Hi everyone.
as well as main producer of Fleeting Iris, among other games. And yeah, let's start by doing the roll call because I haven't talked to you guys in a long time. Ariane, Fossern, Zelmate, everyone else listening to the podcast right now on the live on YouTube. I appreciate you all for coming over. And man, I'm excited. We haven't talked in a while. And first and foremost, I just want to say that um, I had no idea we had so many podcast viewers because I usually just I don't enjoy listening to myself online, and I don't go over the podcasts because one of the reasons why we do the podcast the way we do is because people like us when we are transparent and when we are I, I, I want to say more human, but the podcast feels a little more clumsy, but it feels more genuine. And so there's no need to go back and listen if I said something that was weird or should be cut off because I just don't do any editing. I'm like, okay, this is what was said, and this is the context, and this is what it is, and just try to keep the podcast as genuine as as usual. So the only time I go to our YouTube channel is when I go to like press live now and whatever. And yeah, it came to my attention like, man, you guys have a lot of people listening to your podcast. And like, what do you mean? No, we usually have one the very the same number of people. Usually it's a very set number group of people that we have like the regulars, and it's all like 15 people tops. And it's like, no, you have like 500.
500, that's a lot.
And I'm like, what do you mean 500? No, I have like 15. I can see the numbers while I'm doing the podcast. And like, yeah, but all your podcasts in general have like over 500 views. People check the podcast, and it's usually the same number of people, which means it's not like a random number of views. People actually watch and listen to the podcast. So I checked, and yeah, most people actually listen to the whole podcast. Our views are mostly people that listen to the whole podcast. So I had no idea. First of all, I have no idea if you guys can hear me. I hope I do because no one has said shit yet. But I had no idea that we had so many people enjoying the podcast and following the podcast.
So that how many patrons do we have?
We have slightly over 500, I think. And then we have 44 last time I checked. 559. So it's almost all our entire patrons.
Yes.
But I doubt it's our patrons. And yeah, I was surprised. I had no idea people actually enjoy listening to the podcast as much. Like a small group of people that are very engaged in the community and in our games. I understand. That. I can see myself being invested in a game or in a community as much and listening to a podcast every week. I listen to for instance, I listen to the Joe Rogan podcast almost every time he releases something. Not because I love Joe Rogan, because he feels kind of impartial and it just lets people talk, and I appreciate that. And yeah, and I can see a small group of people being invested, but there's usually as many viewers that listen to the whole podcast almost as much as we have patrons. So yeah, I appreciate you guys, for all of you guys for tuning in, even if you don't tune in live. If you do it at a later time.
That probably has a lot to do with the discrepancy in the time zones.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like I'm sure a lot of people right now are either sleeping or at work.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I really appreciate that we have so many people listening to us, and yeah, it's a pleasure to do this for all of you and keep you guys company while you do all sorts of stuff like driving to work and back home, while you're cleaning your dirty dishes that you've been letting pile on because we haven't been doing the podcast, all that stuff. It's really cool to be able to keep you guys company while you guys do that. So yeah. So let's get downright to business. I know I told you guys that I wanted to be able to release something in April, but sadly, both Isaac and I got sick. He got a flu. I got a virus, and what the virus did was, the virus swept whatever was on my stomach faster than the Celtics swept the Brooklyn Nets out of the NBA playoffs this year. Some people are gonna get the joke. I know you don't like sports. I know you don't like sports, but trust me, some people are gonna get the joke. That was a clean body 4-0.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, I got a virus, and the virus completely wrecked me for a little over a week. So it was pretty bad. But right now the situation is as follows. Our CG teams kept working on their respective games. Scarlett has been doing all the small details and all the stuff that we're going to add on the first patch of Journey Abroad, and we have released a preview today for our followers of Journey Abroad on Patreon. We have released basically all the characters in lingerie, because there's going to be nighttime and daytime, and yeah, we needed those. Our sprite artist is almost done with the sprites that we need. And personally, I have already started doing I wanted to start it earlier last week, but I've started this week doing the parallax mapping. And the reason why we're going to do, if not all of it, but most of Journey Abroad maps through parallax mapping, is RPG Maker MV as the issue that we were afraid it had, which is there's not a lot of assets that we can work with. And obviously, the best looking ones have been used by a lot of people. So for you to be able to give it like your own twist and make it look like amazing, and give it that little edge, you can't just place them on regular ways like other people do. You have to take it. You have to take that extra steps, and you have to parallax map. You have to do parallax lighting, and if you want to make the world become lively and unique, you have to give it your unique take, and do the changes that you need for your game to be distinguished and look different from anything else that has been on the market for since MV came out. And that's why I decided to do most of the mapping on RPG Maker on a Journey Abroad on through parallax mapping. And I've been practicing a lot of parallax mapping on Fleeting Iris, and some of our best maps obviously were made through parallax mapping. So I got a lot of experience on it right now, and I'm going to do my best to make the map as fresh and as immersive as possible for Journey Abroad. So yeah, we got that going on. I'm trying to finish the mapping as soon as possible, because there's not a lot of maps that we have to do for the first patch, but I also have to do the maps for both versions, the incest version and the regular version. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, we won't be able to release in April, but we will try to release as soon as possible. Especially because once we said we were going to try to release something in April, we were not at the time, we weren't invested in making two versions of the same game. So yeah. As for Fleeting Iris, the problem with Fleeting Iris is that we wanted to divert the CG team from working on the Shota patch to work on the fan-made scenes, because we need some assets made for the fan-made scenes. But right now it's being really hard to get openings for the CG team to work on other stuff other than the Shota patch, because we don't want to delay that. We want to bring that out as fast as possible. You guys have been seeing all the previews. We already have a lot of other stuff that is almost complete but is not finished, so we haven't released spoilers yet. But everyone on the VIP launch probably already got a sneak peek of all that stuff. I think I'm going to release some more stuff today. But yeah, so what we're going to do is either wait until the CG team has some time to do some changes to some of the existing scenes so we can adapt to the fan made scenes, or we're going to do the fan made scenes mostly text and put him in the game, or ultimately just don't put him in the game for now. And right now, I think we're going to go with the text version, where we add the stuff via text, and then later on we add the visual assets for them. But we want to stop delaying this version, especially because there's a lot of people waiting for the synchronization of Fleeting Iris, and all of our Steam supporters, have been waiting for an updated version, because they haven't got an updated version since, if I recall correctly, August 2019, something like that. I think that's the 1.01 that we sent to Kagura Games, and we're already on 1.08, pushing 1.09.
Yes, I think that if you have like the timelines right, yes, sure.
So it's something along those
Yeah,
lines.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I have obviously I have constantly people asking me constantly, when are we going to get the Steam
It's like almost every day on our Discord.
yeah, when are we going to get the updated version on Steam? Well, here's the thing. We're going to try and finish Fleeting Iris very early on May. Obviously, without the DLCs, that's going to come out at a later date. So this will conclude the summer patch. Will conclude the first batch of DLCs, free DLCs, obviously, and we are going to upload that with the final summer patch scene, with all the little changes and details that we want to update, and all the bug fixing that we need to do. And this will complete the first set of DLCs, and we are going to send it to Kagura Games to be updated. For the English version, I'm going to suggest to Rakashun that he just uploads it as is on his website. Regarding the syncronization, I cannot precise if it's going to be done, or when it's going to be done, because that's a Kagura Games thing. So it's up to them to what they update and what they don't update. We are only responsible for the English version, and I cannot assume responsibility for what's going to happen in the Chinese version. We've been trying to be as supportive as possible. When the Chinese version was crashing because people were holding control and their computers couldn't handle it, we did a lot of stuff like creating the autosave scripts, just in case people crashed, they could come back and resume from where they were. We have tried to create different text skip scripts, so it wouldn't make people crash. We did a lot for the Chinese version, but there's only so much that we can do, because we're trying to troubleshoot on a language that we don't speak, and it's really complicated. Other than that, we have released a note for our Chinese fans on our main website. We have I think we sticked it on Twitter for people to know what happened in regards of, there we go, why isn't the Steam version being updated. So the Shota version is being worked on full time. Just today I got a bunch of new stuff to show you guys. I think this one is only going to make it to the VIP lounge, but there's a lot of other stuff that we're going to release very soon for everyone, so that's cool. So Fleeting Iris is going to come out. I'm going to estimate for sure the first 2 weeks of May, and Journey Abroad a little after that. The Shota patch, we're working on it. You guys know that we are 4 out of 20 scenes, so that's how close we are from releasing the Shota patch. It's we're 16 scenes left, but we have out of those 16 scenes, 3 of them are remakes of other scenes that are just going to require a little adjustment, and the other 3 are almost complete. They just need to be finished. Just the coloring has to be finished. So we're not that far. I would say that realistically, let's say like late July, we might be able to get the whole Shota patch with all the 20 scenes. and it's going to be a big patch. Last time I checked the script, we made it to like 45 days of gameplay. Okay, it's 25 days of gameplay, and then you have like 10 more days with like time skips and whatnot, and pregnancy and other stuff. So yeah, it's going to be 25 days of gameplay. It's going to be really cool. Um, so yeah, I hope you guys have been enjoying the previews on that we've been releasing on Discord. Have you been following the previews, Isaac?
Yes,
What do you think of them?
I love them.
Yeah,
Quality is top notch.
yeah, and the resolution and whatnot. This is really cool. Also, we kind of have cornered ourselves into doing it, but eventually, and this is going to be severely non-official, wink wink, but we are going to make a version of Fleeting Iris that has inbuilt Fleeting Iris EF on it. So you will be able to play the Shota patch and the Bestiality patch on the original Fleeting Iris. We also want to review the Bestiality patch, as we have expressed many times before. We just haven't had time to do it yet. But we will definitely do it before we port everything to Fleeting Iris. Because yeah, we want everyone to be able to play the game without, there's going to be the loss of resolution, which is obviously going to be sad, but we want everyone to be able to play for we want everyone to be able to play the whole game without having to jump projects. Yeah, I feel like the resolution, the high resolution quality is definitely going to be a loss, but yeah, like that Ron Emmer said, officially unofficial. So yeah, obviously we have a lot of stuff in the backlog. We have all the final DLCs that we want to release. We are going to consider that like the stage 2, the final stage of Fleeting Iris, at least for as far as we can tell. And if I check the Fleeting Iris roadmap here, okay, so yeah, okay, so this will complete the stage 2 of Fleeting Iris DLCs, and then for stage 3 we will have the general improvements patch, which we're going to do alongside all the others, the Christmas patch, the Fujiko childhood patch, the Jack solo route patch, Armand's Operation Infiltration, which is the continuation of the office route, Robert's Trust Endings patch, which will be the big NTR patch, Melvin After Hours, Cosplay Convention Weekend, and now we are going to also make the final scene of the Voyeurs, because people wanted that extended.
Of course they want.
The final
Evelyn's there.
exactly final few the final few scenes of the lifeguard, with Ayame wearing the lifeguard stuff.
Yeah, yes.
And the final few scenes of the BBC patch, which has, I actually wrote the story and I like it a lot. It involves Adriana and involves a lot of other married women. It's really good. So that will be the stage 3s. And then we are going to release the I Am in the Slums DLC that we have announced a long time ago, called Journey to Purgatory. So that will be stage 3. So when we start doing those, we're going to do all of those in.
Fleeting Guard is starting to look a lot like MCU.
Yeah. So that's going to be stage 3, and once we start doing all those, we'll do all those in a row, and then we will upload it. Then we will send it all to Kagura Games, and Steam will get the 3rd patch. So obviously Patreon will be updated on a monthly basis or a bi-monthly basis, and then Kagura, and then after all that batch of DLCs is completed, then Kagura Games is going to get the version, and they're going to do one update. So it becomes easier for Kagura Games to just do like the official release, the first batch of DLCs, second batch of DLCs done, and that will be it for Fleeting Iris. As far as we know, for the other games that we are making, as far as we know regarding Bloodlust, regarding Journey Abroad, there will be no DLCs. We're just going to release everything that we want with the game right away. And then depending on how much support the games are getting and how many fans the games are getting, we might, do more or just stop and then start working on different games and whatnot. So it's really going to depend on how much support we're getting for those games.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like Bloodlust. After we finish the game, people will ask for more scenes because Eve.
Yeah, best girl Eve. I got a feeling that with all the incest in Journey to Abroad, in Journey Abroad, we're going to get a bunch of new people, like a new crowd on. Yeah. So there's that. So yeah, that's. You should work on washing your dishes. Okay, so yeah, I think that's all for the state of situation right now. That gives you an idea of where we are, both on Fleeting Iris, the F Journey to Abroad, and for those constantly asking about Bloodlust, I'd like to remind you that Bloodlust will not begin full-scale production until we finish the Shota patch, because the CG team for Bloodlust is the same team that we use for Fleeting Iris. The CG team that we use for Journey Abroad is a different CG team. Okay, so now let's focus on questions. Stage 2, yeah, okay, yeah, that's Stage 2 is actually, the DLCs that we're doing right now. That's going to be Stage 2 and it's going to be over. Stage 3 is going to come at an announced date. And, it depends on how much money we make. We can, take the team out of Bloodlust to make that, or we can hire more people to work in the team. That will be the optimal solution. So yeah, it really depends on the support that we get in the future. So I guess now it's time to answer questions. I'm trying to like go with the flow, but yeah, I know we had a question on on our Discord, and we're getting a few questions on YouTube right now. So Miroslava asked, I hope I'm not butchering your name. I want to ask a potential trivia question. What type of characters or story branch that the developer would love to implement in the game, but then it got scrapped because of one or two reasons? Sorry if this question has been asked before. Series Black answered that beautifully. All the Patreon incentives, story-wise. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
That's one of that's most of the stuff that I wanted to put in game that I didn't because of time constraints and whatnot. All the routes add more scenes. I remember that the family route had more scenes. It had like a point where you would visit Archer's.
I think the office too. I think you scraped a lot of office anti-scenes before you completed the route in the game.
So basically, the goal was not to finish the game by 2025, and
the goal was to finish the game.
The goal was to finish the game, and we had to cut a lot of stuff, and some of it got put back into like DLCs, and other stuff was cut, but mostly scenes. I don't think I cut any character or any scenario where I thought like, oh, I'm gonna add this character and this character is going to this. I don't think I cut any characters. I think mostly we just relegated some stuff to DLCs, and we cut some scenes. I don't think we cut some important characters or scrapped some important characters out of the game. I think I was already considering what was doable and what was not in terms of when I was writing the game. And I have a lot of ideas that even though they didn't make it to Fleeting Iris, I'm like, oh, you know what? I could reuse these for a future game. That has happened a lot of times, and there's a lot of stuff that people say, oh, since Ayame has like this college girl costume, she could do this and this and this, and I'm like, yeah, but we have a game that revolves actually going to school and with schoolgirls and whatnot, and I can do those there.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, most of Bloodlust and the big part of Night Eternal is going to take place in a school. So, yeah, I don't think there's a lot of characters that got. I mean, I'm sure there were some ideas that I had, and I'm sure that in our notepad, in my big book of ideas, and trust me, it's a big book. In my big book of ideas, there's some stuff there that I scrapped, but some of it wasn't scrap. I'm just like, how can I add this to the game later, or how can I add this to other games? So I just have a big book of ideas. I don't know if I actually ever scrapped something. I know that I removed a lot of scenes from the game, and I cleaned up some routes because I didn't think they were unique or fresh enough. So I completely changed what the scenes were in order for to be what the game is now. And the Clark route is an obvious showcase of it, because the Clark route used to play completely different, and now it plays like a female domination perspective, where I am is the one tempting Clark and whatnot. I like it. I think it's like a different twist. There's a lot of stuff in our game that I look at it and I feel like, oh man, I could do that a lot better. I should rewrite this. I should redo this. But there's some times where I'm just testing our game and I'm looking at the stuff in the folders, and I'm like, wow, we did an amazing job here. Like I was watching our hobo scene today. I was like checking it and how it played out, and there was like the part where the whole map becomes dark and you see Ayame inside the hobo tent, and the hobo tent is like lit and it feels like a map, but you see the outside of the map and whatnot. I like there's a lot of stuff that we did that I feel like, wow, I never seen anything similar done in RPG in another RPG Maker game. And yeah, but I definitely feel like if I keep going back and try to change all the stuff that I wanted to do in Fleeting Hours, I will never finish the game. So yeah, I really need to put this version out, and then I will just keep cleaning the game as much as possible until we start the stage 3 of the DLCs. So yeah. Kong Fan asked, I have questions. What do you think of the future of hentai porn games? Will there be an era where people get extremely hyped for hentai game as much as Elden Ring right now? It's hard to guess. I can definitely tell you that back when I don't know how young I was. I was like 16. There used to be a show on a TV station called Seek Radical in Portugal called Hentai, and it will basically play like hentai videos, like 20 minutes, 30-minute videos. It was just like hentai shows that you can find online, and it will play hentai stories just like whoever plays anime will play hentai. And at the time, no one was like, "Oh man, I like anime titties." Like no one will admit to it. Like everybody will be considered like a perv. Even today, there's a little bit of a taboo regarding that. But I think people are being more and more honest with their sexuality, and becoming more acceptable, more acceptant of other people's decisions and other people's fetishes. And I don't think nowadays it's as taboo for people to enjoy hentai. To me, it's just porn got stale. Hentai is more like no one is getting hurt in the production of the video. Nothing is too immoral because it's drawings, and you can see your twisted, darkest fetishes come to life without anyone having to be hurt or humiliated or whatever it is in the creation of a video or a story or whatever it is. It's just drawings. I also feel like with the technology, we are making characters that are more and more realistic and more relatable. People are writing better these characters. The drawings are better and better. So I feel like it depends on it really depends on the community. I hope that one day hentai games get as much hype as Elden Ring. I honestly do. But to me, a good hentai game has to have like good gameplay as much as it has good art. And to me personally, I've been excited for some hentai games more than I've been for Elden Ring, for sure, because I don't like Elden Ring. But there's been a few hentai games where they were announced and I were like, oh my god, I want to try that. Like the guy that made the Angry Birds hentai game, the Toby Hime game, I can't wait for him to do the second version because Interbreed, yes, because that game is so addicting and the gameplay is so much fun, and I just like it a lot. And there's a lot of hentai games that I will be super excited to see where they will lead to. Like I was initially very excited for Karen's Prison. I lost my interest because, like I've explained many times before, I like story related entire scenes. I'm not a big fan of battle fuck and battle rape and all that stuff. And while the game has had amazing reception, and I got nothing bad to say about the game. Obviously, it's just not for me. Usually, when I have beef with other developers, it's when I see that people that don't give a shit about developing, they don't care about their games, they're just releasing games to make a quick buck, and they might have a big following, and that to me it's like shitting on their patrons, shitting on the community, shitting on other developers, and on the genre itself. That's why a lot of people are afraid to go and support on Patreon. That's why a lot of people are afraid to go and support on Subscribestar, because they've supported other patrons that ran away with the money. But there's a lot of other developers that I just don't like because the game isn't for me, but I can tell how passionate they are working on their game. And obviously, the team of Ramterry is very talented, very passionate, very competent. It's just that the game was not for me. But I was extremely excited when the game got announced because I thought the game was going to go one way and the game went other way, and in terms of like story and gameplay it didn't appeal to me. And to me, gameplay or the story have to be really strong. You can't just make good art from and just release it, or else I will play VNs, just games that were mostly VNs. To me at least, you have to have something like Fleeting Ares. I know that people don't like the branching routes, but to me, story wise, it makes a lot more sense. And it makes a lot more sense to me developing a character the way you want. I don't want a character being a prude in one place and then being a complete slut on another place, and that's what happens in with developers like Saboten and Acerola and whatever. And people appreciate those games, but that's not for me. So when people say I don't like that game that is like super streamlined and that game is like super railroaded and whatnot, and it gives you like the idea of choice but you really don't have it, I think that those people really don't know how much of a choice they're making. I already explained this many times, where there's many games that look like they give you a choice, but it's an illusion. It's an illusion of choice. And in Fleeting Ares, you don't even know you're making decisions, and then they reflect later in the game, and you don't even know that you're only saying those things or acting that way because of decisions you made in the past. So, it's one of those things. I really hope that one day we can get as excited for anti games as we do for regular games nowadays. But it's going to depend on people finally saying, listen, I support whatever I want. People are already buying games on Steam and being like, yes, I like hentai, I buy hentai, I play hentai, deal with it. So it's going to be about the budget that these teams get, and people being able to say, yes, I play hentai games, yes, I like hentai games, yes, I buy hentai games. So once all that taboo disappears, once people are open about their sexuality or enjoying games and being comfortable on their skin, it's going to be open for more supporters. And obviously there's all the governments and all the stuff that don't allow you to advertise adult games in many places, while other games get advertised everywhere: TV, radio, YouTube. In between other games, in between your YouTube videos, you're watching a YouTube video about a guy cooking an egg, boom, Final Fantasy 14 online, play the game right now. Like, and right now you don't have that for hentai games. I do believe that one day hentai games can get to a similar level, but it really depends on the community, and we still have a lot to grow as a species in terms of our sexuality, and in terms of about being open about our tastes and just not judging other people. Like, I think that's something that, come on, we've had a lot of time to learn not to judge other people without, not judging a book by the cover and not judging people by the type of games they play. But we still have a long way to go, but I definitely feel like we're taking big steps in that direction. So what do you think of the quality of hentai games right now? What's the trend? I think NTR and pixel art hentai games are more popular than we think. I think they're not as popular as we think, and that's why I think Fleeting Ares didn't do as well as I thought it would. I think Incest does a lot more. I think Furry does a lot more. Monster Girls does a lot more. That's kind of the trends. The quality of hentai games at the moment, Um, I'm extremely disappointed. Like, because the ones that are good are really really good, and the ones that are supposed to be average are really really bad. I think the average was bad. I think the average was better like 10 years ago. People were actually trying to make good games, and now it feels like everyone is just out for a quick buck, right? But the games that are really good are just so good that make every game that should be average look like shit. So that's my perspective. Like the games that are really good in Thai games are really really good. Like people are getting access to more resources, bigger engines, bigger teams, and you know, and Thai games are definitely going in the right way. But at the same time, the ones that we should be able to like pick up, play fast, whatever, like especially the games that come out of the all side, I think like the average game is absolute trash. If I play like 5 entire games a year, that's a lot. And usually they're games made by my friends of mine, or games that are like absolutely amazing. So yeah, I don't know. It might be me being spoiled, but I think that the average game has gone worse, and but the good games have gone way up. Like the good games are really really good. Fijal Naraj, I'm gonna guess your name is Nigel Farage. Do you ever ask for advice from outside sources when it comes to developing certain rounds that are what you'd consider a more fresh take in making a porn? No, not anymore. I don't. I am my own developer, and I have my own style, and I honestly don't. I did a lot at first. I used to give my game to like female friends and be like, "What do you think of this dialogue? Do you think this is offensive? Do you think the girl is being berated too much and whatever?" I used to check a lot of other games for you know, other people for advice, and other games for ideas, but I don't do anymore. I haven't done it in a long time. Um, it mostly because I already the truth is I already wrote Fleeting Garis like 3 years ago, so I already know where I want to go with the game. In terms of what the scenes are going to be and how to make a porn scene, it's a wrap. I already know what I'm gonna do. I already know what I'm gonna do with almost every game that I have talked about or imagined for the next, I don't know, 10, 15 years. I already know how are they all going to play out. And I might get ideas. I might get them involuntarily, like watching like a very regular TV show. I might see like something with a hooker on CSI, and I can be like, ooh, that gives me a good idea. Like in the most random places, I find inspiration, but I never actively went like, oh man, let me get some advice on how to do this or that. It's just like maybe I'm just a big perv and my brain is enough for it.
I mean, you wrote Fleeting Aries. If you are the best at what you do, why the hell would you ask people for advice?
Okay, thank you.
And I really mean this from the bottom of my heart.
I appreciate it, but I did do a lot of research before.
At first. Yeah.
And after I knew what I wanted to do, I you know, and I know it's kind of like arrogant, but I do feel like that a little bit. Like I feel like my game is better than yours. Why would I ask you for
Remember
advice?
that story where we talk about the power eaters and why they don't have nutritionists because they are their own, because nobody
Exactly.
knows what they do. I feel it's kind of the same thing.
Exactly. Obviously, I'm always open to criticism, especially because of our community. But in my mind, I have to believe I am the best at what I do. I am the best at writing. I do the best everything. And then I just release it. I give it to our fans. I give it to our supporters. And people tell me what they like and they don't like. And I'm like, and then I can adjust by our community. So our community ends up being the best advice that I can get is how the games are received and how the scenes are received, but actively asking for advice, it's not a thing that I do. Forsten also asked, that means that Christmas patch, blah 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 blah, all the things that I mentioned are in stage 3, right? Yes, that means they are stage 3. You're about the you're about the decline of quality in it. Oh, you're about the decline of quality in age RPGs out there. Something lacking about them these days. I feel like people are in such pressure to make money and just release games that they don't put enough passion and they don't develop the games enough. They just get something out with like quick 12 scenes and get out. And some of the developers of 3D games on Patreon, they just start making some money and they start getting lazy and they start releasing very little. I just don't like where it's going. It feels like the scenes that are going out in the all site, the games that are going out in the all site, is just like a 10 scene hitter quitter where they just release 10 scenes and release a new game every 3 months to collect the money. And for the Patreons, I don't know a single one like other than NLT Media. I guess I feel like 99% of the other Patreon developers just they release their stuff, and initially they are super passionate and they release a lot of stuff and they release fast and whatnot, and then quickly it feels like the game is going nowhere. The updates become more scarce and smaller, and it's just I don't feel like the indie stuff is not going on a good path, but it's getting a lot of support regardless. I don't know. I feel like in general the community is getting what they support right now. People should be angry and people should be asking more about the developers, and people should be holding everyone to the same standards. Just see the amount of work and the amount, like every patch that you play from Fleeting Iris, the amount of hours that you can play, the amount of scenes, original art and whatever, and then you get a patch every 6 months or every year from a 3D developer, and it goes like, watch, I created 400 scenes and like 10 of them is like the same scene but from a different angle, which is easy to do on whatever program, Daz 3D, yeah. And yeah, it feels like some developers are held to different standards, and some developers are just like, you just create a thick girl and with a fat ass, and it's like boom, and now people are hypnotized and I can do whatever I want. It's just weird. It's just fucking weird. Praise asks, are you guys planning on having voice acting for Ayame? Yes, once all the 3 stages are finished, we're going to do voice acting for Ayame and maybe for a few other main characters. I might main character Clark or Robert or some shit. I don't know. Is Jack's True Ending still working? Yes, we do plan to create Jack's True Ending. It's on stage 3. Conjast asks, sorry if this was answered earlier. I missed this part of the stream, but are Fleeting Iris ending of Summer Patch and Dreamville still coming in April, as I think was previously mentioned? We answered that on the beginning of the podcast. Good luck finding it. Yeah, you can watch it later. It was answered right at the start. Foster asked, do you guys take ideas though? Maybe not story because I think you have that already planned, but like outfits, hairstyle wise, yes, we always took ideas and we will continue taking ideas. Just write them on Discord and we can discuss it, and you can discuss it with other supporters. So obviously we're going to listen to the ideas of supporters a lot more than we listen to people that are not supporting. I mean, if you can pay $1 to have your opinion heard, it's because you don't care enough. Jokes aside, everyone can talk on Discord, so yeah, there's plenty of stuff in the game that was ideas given to us by the community, and there's stuff that was scrapped from the game where we plan to do it, and we just pitched the idea to the community and people were like, nah, we don't like it. So yeah, trust me, there's a lot in the game that was just ideas pitched by the community and people telling us what they like and what they don't like. Nigel said, I mean, you see stuff like Summertime Saga ranking in like $20,000 on Patreon for an update every 10 months, for a small update every 10 months. $20,000? That has to be wrong. I think that they're making something like 60,000.
Oh, I can't remember.
I think Summertime Saga is making a lot more than that. $20,000 does not seem right. Is it 20? Okay, if it's 20,000, they went down a lot. No, they're making 70,000 a month.
That's euros, not dollars. They're
Oh,
making like 60. Wait, isn't it?
It's not that.
Around?
It's not that bad. No, okay. Right now the dollar is stronger than the euro, but it's probably like.
It's stronger, so it's more than $70.
No,
wow, that's a lot.
No, it's probably something like $68,000 or maybe less. But it's $68,000. It has 31,000 patrons. with that amount of money, if I can make, listen, if we had 70,000 euros, if I couldn't make a game that will make you as hype for it as you're hyped for Elden Ring, I will have to shit myself all the way to my neck.
I think the plot for Elden Ring was written by George Martin, so you know a lot of people were hyped literally for that reason.
I did not know that. But
So,
didn't people expect everyone to die?
I never played a Souls game in my
That was a
life.
joke.
I don't like it.
I don't like Souls games.
Yeah, not
Uh,
even a little bit.
As an anti-game dev, what are some of your own personal favorite anti-games? By name?
I mean, Fleeting Heart is number one.
I don't play my own game, so I'm not gonna do that.
Oh, me neither, but it's my favorite game nonetheless.
Oh shit. Okay, let me tell you some games that I feel like you just put me on the spot. That's kind of like
A while ago, you just said you like Interbreed, so that's one.
the Interbreed is one.
Yeah.
I like Interbreed a lot. I'm trying to figure out what is good here. So I like Interbreed. Let's start with it. Shit. I'm trying to look over my library of games, but it's being hard to find. I like the games from Sun NTR, the guy that made like Beach Raider and Escape from Z City and whatever. That guy is a hard-working developer, and while his art isn't amazing, the stories are usually fun and compelling. The game that actually got me into this, like Despair Labyrinth by Takimaru slash
Ooh, that game was
Kitamaru.
so cool. Too bad it never got finished.
The game wasn't the art was like 3D CG, was kind of trash, but he's an amazing writer. He's one of those guys that keeps writing those
And the gameplay is also good.
small novels on like forums in RPs and whatever. So he does that, which is pretty fucking amazing. Shit. Butakoma's initial games, starting games, and then almost everything else is like shit. I liked Princess Trainer back then when I played it. Was kind of fun. And the problem is like a lot of games I start liking to play them, and then they switch to like something really weird. Sometimes games have like a really good initial gameplay or really good initial premise, but then they don't develop on it, or it goes a completely different way than that you were expecting it to go. That's really weird, but happens. The guy from Dystopia Story, Flying Princess Interbreed. I really like that game. The gameplay is super addicting. What else? Shit. There's a game called, I think it's Soul of Phantasm. I think that's the one. I like the gameplay and the story. That one was really cool. And in terms of RPG Maker, I used to like all the stuff released by Scale Gardens. I used to like all the stuff released by I like Virgin Island a lot. I was a big fan of like Turtle Circle or Circle Kame, but then his art kind of like stagnated, and then he started outsourcing for other people, and for a while you will see a dozens of games created by him on a very small span of time. So that kind of killed it for me in terms of art. Shit. I don't know, man. There's not a lot, but I can definitely make a list of a few games and just post it on our website or Discord if you guys really want to find out. I can Climania. Some games are a little bit of hit or miss for Climania. So if you guys really want to know which games specifically we consider good games, I can make a list later on and post it on Discord. So if you guys want to know about it, I can definitely make a list of games that I played that I really liked them for whatever reason it was, art, gameplay. Well, we've been at it for almost an hour. We've been answering a lot of questions. This was really fun. We might be able to have a podcast next week, as we are reaching some breakthroughs on some of our games, Again, can just go check the beginning of the podcast to see the news about the releases for Fleeting Aries and all the other stuff, because I know you're trying to figure out if it's still coming out in April. Um, so yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this week's podcast. We very likely will come back next week. Um, I will try to do the list of the games that I enjoyed and why did I enjoy them at the time. I will make a list with like my 20 favorite games, or at least a few favorites. And yeah, it was a pleasure to do the podcast as usual. I can't believe we're getting like 500 people every single podcast. I didn't value it enough, or I didn't know that we were reaching that many people. I always did it because I enjoyed it, but also because we need to keep people updated on our progress. But I had no idea so many people enjoyed it, and now it feels like I feel like an added responsibility to make a good podcast every time I do one, because there's going to be so many people listening to this. So yeah, man, I really hope you guys enjoy the podcast, and I hope you guys are excited for the news, and we will be back hopefully next week with a new podcast, and maybe a patch, maybe the week after that. So thank you guys for watching, Isaac.
Bye, everyone.
And yeah, man, take care, everyone. We're going to keep you guys updated. So stay tuned. Take care.